All right, Shalom. 1 second, check the live. Check the audio, I mean. And as I get started, I want to give all praise, all honor, all glory, and all worship unto Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rachak Kodash. Double honor be to the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone, who still rule and teach well. Peace and blessings and safety unto the Lord's elect, scattered throughout the four corners of the planet Earth, mainly in America, pushing his word in humility and sincerity as commanded by Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Chief Ephraim ain't think his $1 million question through. Okay. He didn't think it through. Okay. This guy's an unbeliever. You know, he has always been moving suspiciously. I'm gonna play the video, but we know the background on Chief Ephraim. Okay. The camp hopper, you know, he disappeared for a little bit, then he came back, you know, then got kicked out of HOI or left HOI. So this video is on the brother GMS Shaka page. You know, subscribe to the brother's channel. I'm using his video to play the video of Chief Ephraim.
Hey, I got the $1 million question, right? For those that claim the mark of the beast is a microchip, right? With everything going on in the earth, who's going to implement the mark of the beast? What nation is going to implement the mark of the beast? Because if you say it's all white people, you got to be specific, because obviously Russia is not doing what America is doing. China is not doing what America is doing. Iran is definitely not doing what America is doing. What nations or what white nation is going to implement the mark of the beast? Because if you say it's America, then obviously it ain't going to be the whole world. So this is where the doctrine kind of falls very short. It takes a deep dive very short. If the mark of the beast is going to be a worldwide thing and you can't eat, right, and drink and buy and sell, right, all of this stuff with a physical chip, the $1 million question is, who's going to implement it? And I'm going to leave y'all with that, right? Because obviously the nations ain't getting along. And whatever NATO's doing, BRICS ain't with it. And whatever BRICS is doing, NATO ain't with it. So who's going to implement it? This is why I don't subscribe, and neither do the servants subscribe to the mark of the beast being a microchip. So riddle me that, Batman. Shalom.
So you heard his logic. Okay. I don't know if this dude was alive in 2020, but in 2020 you had what's called the global pandemic. Type that in. Global pandemic. Which the word pan mean all. It says let's see, what is it? I'm gonna type in meaning. Global pandemic meaning. We know what global meaning concerning the whole globe. It says a pandemic is when a new disease or a new strain of an existing disease spreads worldwide. Viral respiratory disease such as the flu, the C19er are the ones most likely to cause a pandemic. Then you have something known as the World Health Organization, right? And now this is dealing with health, right? But this shows you that the nations will come together for some purposes. Another purpose that the nations will come together for is Psalms the 83rd chapter. Psalm chapter 83 verse 1. A song or psalm of Asaph. Keep not thou silence, O power, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yasha'Allah may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent, for they are confederate against thee. So this shows you that the nations will come together for specific purposes. The main purpose is to destroy the nation of Israel. Okay, that's the real reason that Esau is trying to bring that MOTB, to forfeit the souls of the Lord's elect, which he will not be able to do. Okay, now you have something. The apostle brought it out. Matter of fact, let's continue reading. So to show you that all nations are confederate with this conspiracy to cut the nation of Israel off, which is you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans of Negro and Indian descent, from being a people. It says in verse 6, the tabernacles of Edom, which is the so-called white man, and the Ishmaelites, which is the so-called Persians or Arabians, or whatever you want to call them, the Middle Eastern motherfuckers. It says of Moab, which is the Chinese, and the Hagarenes, the Africans, Gebal and Ammon and Amalek, the small hats, the Philistines, and the inhabitants of Tyre. So basically all nations are confederate and conspire to keep the nation of Israel down. It tells you in the book of 2nd Ezra that Moab, let me see, how does it go? Moab, Babylon. What the hell? 2nd Ezra 16. 2nd Ezra chapter 16, verse 1. Woe unto thee, Babylon and Asia. Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria. So why is it mentioned Babylon with Asia, with Egypt and Syria? Let's go down a little further, because I want to jump to the point. And then I'm going to bring out some information. Let's see. Second Ezra 15 and 46. It says, and thou, Asia, that are partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her persons. So the Lord is saying that Asia is going to be a partaker of the hope of Babylon, meaning their agenda would align with the agenda of America, Babylon the Great. Okay, the things that they want would align with the things that the United States of America want. Let me go back to YouTube real quick, because the apostle had posted a video not too long ago of a woman Let's see if I can find this shit. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go to the apostle page so I can find this video real quick. But you have something called the International Language of Flight. And the International Language of Flight is English, which means that all the nations agreed to speak English in order to conduct an aviation. Now, before you had BRICS, you had something known as SWIFT, and I'm gonna look that up. Videos. Bear with me. I'm gonna find it, because it was not that long ago. Here we go. Here we go.
Go to like
Living in China. The title of the video is Living in China, Living in America, Americans will be shot. Let's go to that video. Now watch this. Fair use.
Don't know where you're going, you can easily find maps. So many people in the comments like to say about.
Now remember this scripture that we just read, 2 Ezra 15:46. And thou, Asia, thou art partaker of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her persons. Now, when the C-19 came out, DJ Trump, same president that we have now, right? DJ Trump, he said, yeah, it started in China. He said the Chinese are responsible. You know, he made them, you know, he pointed the finger at them and all of that. But then when it came down for the solution, they was on the same page.
Me. Today, I'm going to prove you wrong, and I'm going to let Beijing do the talking for me. I'm Rose in China. Let's go. 1.5 kwai, and if you can't read Chinese, you can translate the whole page. Cool. Pay immediately. I'm going to compare their subways, specifically Beijing versus New York City. Let's consider the spending power of both. The GDP of New York is $2.2 trillion. The GDP of Beijing is $683 billion. That's a huge difference. But when you're in Beijing, you can really feel how much they have invested in infrastructure. But in New York, things are crumbling, things are falling apart. You just can't feel it. Where is that money going? New lines open in Beijing every year, but the last time a new line opened in New York, it was 2017. That's a huge, huge difference. Beijing right now has the most amount of stations in the world. There are 29 lines and 522 stations. New York has 36 lines and 472 stations. Also, the subway here is far more affordable. You only have to pay 3 to 5 kwai depending on how far you go, but in New York, the price is $2.90.
Odin Valhalla Rising, now available on mobile and PC. Exclusive.
New York has recently implemented tap-to-pay payments, but in Beijing, that has been available for a really long time. You can use your MasterCard, your Visa card, you can use Alipay, you can use WeChat, you can use Apple Pay, you can even use your palm. We're living in the future here.
Hold on, did you hear that? Go back. Go back.
You can use your MasterCard, your Visa card, you can use Alipay, you can use WeChat, you can use Apple Pay, you can even use your palm. We're living in the future here.
Now, why did she say you could use your palm? Then she followed up by saying we're living in the future here, because this is the future. The future is using your palm, but it's going to go further than that because there's going to be a device in your palm that's going to contain all of your economic information and maybe even your health information. So China, yeah, they may be economically at war with the United States of America and Russia. They all are seemingly against each other, but in all actuality, to establish the NWO, which remember, these like I said, this guy he ain't too bright, okay? He not too deep, okay? Because he don't understand that the plans that these nations are pulling out go back to the people at the very, very top, the 0.01%, okay? Not the 1%, the 0.01%, okay? The elites of Edom, okay? The spirit of Esau reincarnated himself, okay? The one at the very top who communicate directly with the spiritual demon Satan. This is their plan. This is not the plans of these different nations. The world is a stage, man. Play that again so you hear what she said. Because China, the title of the Apostle Tahar's video, the other Apostle Tahar's video was, I see China being a model for the United States. Okay.
Recently implemented tap-to-pay payments, but in Beijing, that has been available for a really long time. You can use your MasterCard, your Visa card, you can use Alipay, you can use WeChat, you can use Apple Pay, you can even use your palm. We're living in the future here.
So the future is you using your palm or a device in your palm to pay for things. Now, like I said, you have something known as Swift banking system, which came before BRICS. BRICS was actually created to combat SWIFT. But the thing is, all these nations, they want a centralized banking system. It says the SWIFT banking system is a global network that enables financial institutions to send and receive information about financial transactions securely and efficiently. It plays a crucial role in international banking by facilitating cross-border payments and ensuring the smooth operation of the global financial system, which SWIFT stands for Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications. It was established in 1973 in Belgium, Germany, right? Germany is the Teamanites. It says, and owned by banks and other members and firms, blah, 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 blah. The headquarters is in La Huppe, Germany. Oh, it's like it, excuse me, Belgium. Belgium is not in Germany. Belgium is a country in itself. So like it says, recently the SWIFT banking system has been in the spotlight due to sanctions against certain Russian banks, which have impacted the ability to conduct international transactions. See, problem, reaction, solution. The problem is all the nations don't want SWIFT. The solution seemingly is to create BRICS, but all the nations don't want BRICS. That's another problem. So what will be the solution? Well, we're going to come with something that we all agree upon, which will be the MOTB. Now let's look at BRICS, because it's the exact same thing. It says BRICS is an intergovernmental organization comprising 10 countries: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Those were the original members. That's where you get the acronym BRICS. Then it says additional members: Egypt, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran, and the United Arab Emirates. The idea of BRICS, let's click on it, of BRICS-like groups can be traced back to Russian Foreign Minister Yevgeny whatever. BRICS was originally a term coined by British. Come on, man, just tell us what it is. It says okay, this is what I'm gonna do. What is the purpose of BRICS? The purpose of BRICS is to coordinate actions among its member countries to enhance economic growth and political standing in the world. The bloc aims to further economic cooperation, support each other's development, and create geopolitical counterbalance to Western-dominated institutions like the IMF and the World Bank. So essentially, this was just created to oppose the IMF, the World Bank, and the SWIFT network. Because when you have the SWIFT network, all transactions, if you transferring money, not transferring, what do you call it? Yeah, transferring it. If you taking one money and putting it, if you taking one currency and transferring it into another currency, it had to go through the SWIFT banking network. It had to be approved, okay? Which that's mainly ran by Western dominated institutions. So this was to combat that. But like I said, that just creates a whole another problem. So now what's the solution going to be? The solution is going to be the MOTB, the radio frequency identification device, which is RFID. RFID is an acronym for radio frequency identification, which means RFID is the wireless non-contact use of radio frequency waves to transfer data and identify objects. It's going to have your identity on it. It's going to have your data, your information on it, your balance, okay, your medical records, okay. Are you a type C blood or type of, I don't know the terms. Are you this or you that? You know, are you broke or do you got 10,000 credits in your account? That's going to come via this radio frequency device. It says animals. It says identify objects, animals, or humans. You see that? Or humans. RFID systems are usually comprised of an RFID reader, RFID tags, and antennas. Now, all of this took place in 2020, but it wasn't using a micro C chip. It was using a jabber dabber do. Okay, a jabber dabber do. Now he can talk all this carnal shit, but the Bible speaks about a global hour of temptation. The Bible speaks about the nation, Psalms 83, coming together for one purpose, whether they look like they're agreeing or not. Okay, this is why the prophets were called seers, because they could see through whatever the king was doing. Elijah, it was said that Elijah, let me go there real quick. King Syria. Let's go here. Bear with me. The word bed chamber is in it. This is 2 Kings chapter 6 and verse 12. It says, and one of his servants, let me start up a little. Let me start at 11. 2 Kings 6 and 11. Therefore, the heart of the king of Syria was sore troubled for this thing. And he called his servants and said unto them, will ye not shew me which of us is for the king of Israel? And one of his servants said, none, my lord, O king, but Elisha, the prophet that is in Israel. Telleth the king of Israel the words that thou speakest in thy bedchamber. So Elisha, the prophet Elisha, told the king of Israel what the king of Syria was doing in private. How? Because the prophets had a foresight to know how these kings are going to move. It tell you that the king's heart Proverbs 21 and 1. Oh, come on. Proverbs 21. See, is that Proverbs 21? How did I get to Proverbs 11? Man, this shit tweaking. Proverbs 21 and 1. The king's heart is in the hand of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Now the scriptures tell you who have known the mind. Come on, man. Sometimes I hate the blue letter. Who hath known? Romans 11 and 34. For who have known the mind of the Lord, or who have been his counselor? That's not the one I want. 1 Corinthians 2 and 16. For who have known the mind of the Lord, that he may instruct him? But we have the mind of Hamashiach. So we don't have the mind of Yahweh, but we have the mind of Yahweh Shai. Amos chapter 3 and verse 6. It says, shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and Yahweh have not done it? Surely Yahweh power will do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. So the prophets are dialed in. They get secret information, okay, to know how these kings are going to move. And we understand that the people that you see are not the people that's at the top. Come on, man. This is the book of Daniel. Let's see if I can find this. I think maybe it's the 6th chapter. This is Daniel chapter 6, verse 1. It says, it pleased Darius to set over the kingdom 120 princes, which should be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 presidents, of whom Daniel was the first, and the princes might give account unto them, and the king should have no damage. And so this shows you that a president is not the top of the food chain, my guy. A president is just an employee. Okay, but there's people at the top of the kingdom, which are the elites of Edom. The presidents, the prime ministers, they're not the people that's calling the shots. Okay? The people that's calling the shots are behind the scenes. What Bible is these guys reading? Or are they reading their Bible at all? This is Isaiah chapter 29. And 15, it says, woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahweh, and their works are in the dark. And they say, who seeth us and who knoweth us? So the people that's really in control, they're consulting in the dark. They're not out in the open on camera, taking photo ops, shaking hands together. Those guys are the people that's coming to orchestrate or act out whatever the people who are in the dark want them to do. And there's many scriptures on that. Psalm 64 verse 1, to the chief musician, a psalm of David. Hear my voice, O power, and my prayer preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. So there's a secret counsel of the wicked. Okay? The word secret is sawad, council, assembly. You have something you got the WEF. You got the there's one more. Damn, I forget the name of it. But the WEF, that's a secret council. The media is not allowed in. Okay? But then you have higher councils than that. Like I said, dealing with the international banking families. The richest people, the wealthiest people in the world, you don't even see them. They don't make public appearances, man. But yet and still, they make money off of everything that goes on in the earth. It says counsel, secret counsel, familiar converse, intimacy with the Most High. So the point that we want is secret counsel, assembly. Okay? Psalms, the 83rd chapter. Like I said, these nations, they will come together to destroy the nation of Israel. And whoever takes that micro C here will definitely be destroyed. So this is one of their most important enterprises that they're going to try to fulfill before Yahweh returns. This is why the Lord said in Psalms, the 2nd chapter, Psalms 2 verse 1, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against Yahweh and against his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, the Lord shall have them in derision. So why do the heathen rage? And when you go to the word rage, the word is ragash. Ragash, it says to be in a tumult. Same word in Psalms 83rd chapter. Or commotion, to conspire, plot. You also got the the United Nations. Okay, that's another secret council that these front men plot and conspire against the children of Israel. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Seminole, Native American Indians of Negro and Indian descent. It says to rage, to make a tumult, used of the nations. See? So these nations are prophesied to come together to try to destroy the nation of Israel so that they don't go into slavery, to cast their cords from us, to break their bands asunder, so that they don't go into captivity under the Messiah, Yahweh Shai. Okay? And we're telling you that the way they're going to do it is they're going to try to disqualify the Lord's elect by presenting them with this mark of the beast, man. Which it is the mark of the beast. The beast is what? The beast system. Revelation 3:10. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So this device, this hour of temptation is going to come upon all the world, in the which this device is going to be made mandatory. He's going to cause all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive that charagma in their right hand or in their forehead, and you will not be able to buy or sell, save, meaning except you have the charagma. What is so hard to understand about this? There's literally nothing else that you could insert there to make it make sense besides what we say it is. If you say it's sin, it doesn't make sense. If you say it's sleeping with white women, it doesn't make sense. If you say it's an embargo, it doesn't make sense. Okay, but the Lord said that the simple will believe every word. So you got some fools out there who actually following these false prophets who telling you that the microchip is not coming, and then when it come, they may even still say it's not the MOTB, man. That's how corrupted these guys really are. Revelation 3:10 again, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. The word patience means suffering, because right now we look like fools. Right now we look like we crazy. Right now we look like angry men, you know, who always, we haters. We always rebuking for no reason and this and that. But see, the Lord's going to justify his prophets in the end. That's the point. The humiliation before the honor. Yeah, right now we look crazy. Right now our works look moot. But in the end, you're going to see that what we was doing was profitable for our salvation and for yours. But you rejected it. It said, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Let's go to the word temptation. Peresmas.
Strong's G 3986. Pyrasmas. Pyrasmas.
Peresmas. It says an experiment, attempt, trial, proving. Right. And even now it's being revealed that the 2020 was an experimental, potion. Okay. And people are still being affected by that. It was a test. It was a trial. It was a proving. The trial made of you by my bodily condition, since condition served as a test, as to test the love of the Galatians toward Paul. It says, let's keep reading. The trial of man's fidelity, which is faith, integrity, virtue, constancy, and enticement to sin, temptation, whether arising from the desire or from the outward circumstances. So there's going to be outward circumstances that's going to be created on the planet Earth to try the whole world to entice you to commit a sin. Okay? And not sins. It says enticement to sin. There's one particular sin, which is going to be the cutting in the flesh and putting that mark in you, man, which disqualifies you from salvation. It says an internal temptation to sin. It says of the temptation which the devil sought to divert Yahushua, blah, blah, blah. Third definition, of the condition of things or a mental state by which we are enticed to sin, or to a lapse from the faith and holiness, adversity, affliction, trouble sent by the Most High, and serving to test or proves one character, faith. And the Lord's going to bring this across the whole world. You're not going to be able to escape it. Just like when the thing came, they said, if you don't take this, you can't go to work. They said you can't go to the next city. You got to scan your forehead and all this other extra shit. You're going to die. You're going to die. And people fell for it because they had no faith in the Most High Yahweh Shem Shah. People was ready to go stand in line and get shot up with God knows what because they had no faith. They didn't pass the test, but that was luckily for them. That was not the MOTB. That was just a trial run. So if the Most High had mercy on you and you still here, now you know what's really coming. It says temptation, i.e. a trial of God by men. And go to the word test or trial, to try them. That's what the word try means, to test them. Perazzo.
Strong's G 3985. Pyrazzo. Pyrazzo.
It says to try whether a thing can be done, to attempt, to endeavor, to try, make trial of, test, for the purpose of asserting his quality or what he thinks or how he will behave himself. The Most High want to see if you're going to take this thing or not, man. If you truly trust in him, no matter what. When the whole system is against you, when the whole system is trying to penetrate you, trying to pierce you, trying to trap you in his snare, telling you that you won't have a livelihood without it, are you going to trust in the Lord? It says in a bad sense to test one's maliciously to test one maliciously, craftily, to put to the proof his feelings or his judgment, to test one's faith, virtue, character by enticement to sin, to solicit to sin. Let me look at the word solicit. The word solicit means to ask someone for something, such as money, information, or help. Right. So basically, it's a proposal. They're gonna make it mandatory. They're gonna say, look, this is what they were soliciting people to take the V. It says after the Old Testament usage, men are said to tempt by impious or wicked conduct to test God's judgment and patience and to challenge him, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't apply. So the point is that the word try means to test, examine, prove, essay, okay, to endeavor, okay, to prove what one thinks or how he will behave himself. Will you take that MOTB? So no, this guy didn't really think his $1 million question through. Really was a $2 question, but we gave you $1 million answer. What are you gonna do with it? What are you gonna do with the facts? That's the thing. Okay. Scripture say there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you, who privily shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them, man. So Lord, this edifying, just a quick hit. Closing, I want to say, call Allah Imla, Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, Bashem Rakakodash, Kum Yashral, Shalom.